All right. So hi everyone. Welcome to Zenful Conversations. I'm ZenJen Brown, and today we are sitting down for a heart-centered conversation with Marjorie Moorhead, poet Marjorie Moorhead. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yep, Moorhead.
Cool. Marjorie's work is infused with resilience, tenderness, and truth. She writes with a voice that honors both the fragility and the strength of being human. Perhaps we'll hear a few poems from her today. Maybe she'll read a couple of her favorites. We don't know because this is not an interview, it's a real conversation. Just two people and all of you listening, gathering around the page and the heart. So, welcome, Marjorie. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
This summer, I'm doing something special for Zenful Conversations. And let me go ahead and shut that music off now. Um, yeah, Zenful Conversations is something that began in 2019 and it's changed forms. It's evolved. It's evolved. But this summer I'm doing something special called the Summer of Love Poetry Series. And my hope is to have many heartfelt conversations that share the good word about writing, healing, and simply being human. People need to hear how writing lives in others and how it helps move us through life. And we talked a little bit about this via email, how important it is that it's simple conversation, but it reaches deep. So I'm in my living room too. I don't have the big fancy studio lights um, but I'm just liking the idea of more intimate, more authentic conversations. Um, I'm stepping out a bit myself out of my box with this series. So I just want you to know I'm really delighted that you're here because actually just starting it, summer doesn't quite start yet, so this will be one of the first in the series of conversations.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the way you emphasize the being human in there, because gosh, it's just gotten so hard to live that way, with technology and how much it's boxed us in. And so doing things that are human, conversation, not AI generated and not big fancy settings, I think is it's like preservation of a way of life that I
Yeah,
found,
I'm
sadly
missing it.
leaving. So I
Yeah, I'm
appreciate what you
missing the good old fashioned conversation, just the unproduced can't, just mistakes. Let's
right,
have some mistakes.
right.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of part of it. Um, yeah, so I'm also going to be introducing a couple new programs. Well, I don't know if it's a new program or not, but a new group gathering. One of them I'm going to do is Poets in Conversation, and I'm just going to invite poets to talk and just discuss, and some people may help each other. I'm not sure how it's all going to go, but it's going to kind of almost be like a round table,
Hmm.
which I think would be good. Not necessarily uh, prompts and writing time and sharing like some of the workshops that we will have, but just a conversation pit sort of. I'm just really excited about this Summer of Love series, and
Yeah,
thanks for
I
being
think
a part of it.
absolutely. I think, during the pandemic, I think a lot more people got into doing things like that. And I feel like I was able to be a fly on the wall for a couple of just straight out conversations between two poets. And it's incredible. Like you get so much from it just from being able to hear back and forth their ideas and yeah, more and more and more. I think that's great. Keep it.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for being part of it. So what do you want people to know about you, Marjorie?
I think what I want people to know about me is what I want them to gather from reading my poetry. I don't think I have a it's funny you asked it, 'cause I mean, I sort of panicked at last minute and thought, "What if I have to what if I just" I actually printed out I went to Google and found myself and printed out the introduction about me because it's actually like a big, long story, of
I
how
know,
I got
right?
to writing poetry, and I don't know where you're even to jump in or
Yeah.
anything, so I do think that my poems bring you, um, that information, basically, if you spend time with the book.
Right, it's
I'm
true.
promoting my books or anything, but I just mean that I think that I answer myself best in the poetry. But
Grounded, you're a very
I could read you
grounded
the
woman.
Google about the author from 2020.
That's funny. 'Cause I'm struggling with getting an about there's those little bios are not the easiest thing to come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I must have written this, so yeah, it's actually my voice sort of encapsulating. Um, I just didn't want to be like wordless when you asked me, so I could read it.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell
And
us a
so,
little bit about
so
you.
Marjorie
Because I
Moorhead.
don't really know anything about you, much about you anyway. I'm new
Okay,
to your poetry.
I'm a native New Englander. A peaceful childhood near forests, ponds, mountains, rivers prepared me for later challenges. I'm substituting me for her because I'm reading this. I'm an AIDS survivor, having navigated devastating years before viable treatment became available and ignorance fed stigma. So fortunate to have lived, found love, and raised healthy children, I eventually found my voice with poetry, and I've continued honing the craft.
Wow. Wow.
So there's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there. There is a lot in there. Um, and some of those life experiences are powerful. Uh, when did you find your voice with poetry?
Well, I'm not one of these people that studied it in school. I don't have an MFA, certainly. I didn't even read a lot of poetry, but my mom um, moved close to me. She had gone through surgery and she was sort of depressed. And so in the city that we are in, it's really a town, they were offering a poetry class for 55 and over. And I just made it in. I was just 55 at that point. And so she and I took that class together. And this was in 2017. So it hasn't been that long. I guess by now it's been pretty long, but you know, it's not like I was
Right.
who was writing at 10 years old, writing poems or anything like that. So we took the class together, and then a group of us, but encouraged by the teacher, kept meeting. And I still have that poetry group. We're called Fourth Friday Poets, but we meet second and fourth Friday of every month and share poetry. Um, so that was my introduction. And, it's sort of, I realized like, wow, this is a gift to me because I'm finding my language. Like I really
Yeah.
had this story I'd been carrying around that it was becoming a burden and I needed a way to, put it out that wasn't I didn't anyway,
Yeah.
it helped me to explore how to express who I am or who I've
I think
become.
it's amazing. I'm newer to the field. Uh, 2017 is when I started to change my life. And I just signed up for, I was 52, I think at the time. And I just signed up for the gym and was completely out of shape and out of whack in so many different ways from life's traumas, etc., and not quite dealing with it in a way I could have. I chose to deny in denial and overstimulate with work and food and yada yada yada. So I've cleaned myself up. um, yeah, and that's when I began too. It led me into the field of yoga, and I've done at the highest level of education that you could get without going to college for yoga. I've became a internationally certified yoga therapist, which is amazing. But this is all for my own healing, right? Like
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
learning to heal myself, learning to heal myself. And one of the modalities in the yoga therapy, one of the healing modalities is to journal, is to write. And so that is where and it's just been over the first, the past few years that I've turned towards the writing.
Yeah.
So I'm not even really understanding a lot yet, but I do know that it's a, s- it's a very deep level of showing up for yourself, I believe.
Yeah.
And um, I just can't even get over how much I love the people, the vibration of the people that are in this space cannot
Yeah.
be topped.
Right. I mean, as well as finding what finding my language, I also found community, a community that I really feel good about being part of, because I do feel like poets and writers are doing something special and making the world better
It's
for,
authentic. It's authentic.
yeah,
It's real. Uh, you're basically, here I am. I mean, because I've been showing up for myself for the past decade here. I've turned my entire life around. I've changed everything you can change. Um, and I have been showing up for myself. I've been finding ways to make sure that I do. I create systems because I'm still not that good about, you know, taking time for me. Still have people pleasers in there, so but if I set up systems, then I'm showing up for myself, whatever the system may be. But this is like such a deeper level. I can't really explain it except it feels like, like when you're reaching for something. Uh this is like 5 levels up, I believe, from where where I'm at, which is good. Just the authenticity and the realness and the vulnerability, just to me, there's no ulterior motives.
yeah, yeah. I
Such
mean,
a good space.
your story made me think two things. Number one, 2017 must be some sort of have been a magical year. And number two, a poem I have, uh, sort of my last publication, I guess, the New Hampshire Poetry Society puts out a journal, Touchstone,
Mm.
and I have a poem in it. And if I may read it to you, I think it really,
Oh, sure,
you'll
please.
see why I thought of it while you were telling me your story. This is called Talking to Jorge Again. After we'd left the city, after you'd disappeared, and I was left to drift alone for years, I may have become addicted to crackers, really just to the act of eating them, motion of hand to box to mouth, the chewing, swallowing, again and again. Just enough salt, just enough crunch to feel alive. This wasn't the answer, though. Didn't fill the hole of loneliness. Wasn't the satisfaction I was seeking. I needed to sit with spine straight and sink into my breath. Yes, meditation opened the top of my head and let a white light come shining in. Let me sink down past my tailbone into the earth to its core. Letting in sky and connecting with ground, there's no more alienation. I become part of all there is. Over half a century old now. Who believed it possible back in those early years of age to make it out, to keep living? That you and so many others couldn't. I'll be forever grieving.
Mm.
But the thing of going through stuff that doesn't really help or work, but going through it, journeying through and finding something that does, finding an opening and a way to still love yourself through all the hardship and stuff. So yeah, meditation was
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Meditation, what came first for me too. But the I think that writing, if I'd have known about it sooner, I think it would have helped me go through a lot of things better. Or better, I don't say better, but maybe easier. I think I might understand it quicker, you know.
I
I
feel like
think
everything
if
in
you
its
have the
own
right
time,
practice.
though. Like I think you have
Sure.
to be sort of ready to receive yourself in that way.
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, that's true too. It took a heck of a lot to get where I'm at. I'm not sure I would have been able to jump to that. That's for sure. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you have another poem that you hold dear to your heart that you like?
Um, that's a tough one because I mean, at different times I like different ones. I mean, I could read from the book that you read. Um,
Yeah, and we're talking about Into the Thrum by Marjorie Moorhead. It's her newest collection. I think it's just out what in April?
yes, yep, April.
April. I have enjoyed looking at this book, and I really have. And then that led to me trying to find some videos and watch you a little bit. And yeah, you remind me of my sister. She's no longer with us. My sister was
Oh,
my total rock and my love. I lost my other one too, but my sister was my this one, Teresa. Teresa, I called her Teresa, and everybody, all her friends called her Terry, but we
oh,
called her Teresa or Tessie.
sorry you've lost her.
Yeah, she was my rock. But it's something interesting for me when people pass away, they feel closer. So
Hmm.
I'm okay. But
Have
yeah,
you?
please.
Okay. Is there a poem in here you'd like me to read? Since we'll follow up on
Well, I'll
you.
tell you, there was a couple that struck me. I liked, hold on a second, I jotted them down. Uh, 62, page 62.
62. Okay. It matters a lot. All right. It
Yes,
matters
ma'am.
a lot. Let us meet again in this room, plain but cozy, no distraction, only you and I, pen and paper, questions, laughter, longing, belonging, figuring it out, fitting ourselves in. How incongruous it feels to be alive and aware our beautiful planet is dying a painful death, to be living with people who love, but also who act with hate. Excuse me, also those who act with hate, sharing place, but not understanding. How to navigate? Am I wasting my time writing these thoughts? What does it matter if we share them or not? Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we question, what does it matter? But I tried to answer that with my title.
Yes, it does matter. I'm saying even because I mean, I think we're all questioning ourselves or possibly a lot of us, let's just say that. I know I think about it a lot. It crosses my mind. And even if it's just the fact that we're raising our vibration and sending out higher vibrations, I think that's adding to all of all the good energy. I'm a
Absolutely.
definite believer in the energy thing. So, uh, and I know it helps me feel, for me, I've got to be careful. I watch the news for just a wee bit too long. And
It's devastating, no question. Absolutely devastating. And yeah, it makes you feel helpless and small and um, yeah, I mean, I think it's so important to find ways to stay afloat and keep going and know that you're in community with other people who are not doing that, at least, not doing it.
right. Yeah,
Which,
well, that's it. Just to me, love. Okay, love. How can I expand this love energy? And that's what I'm doing. That's part of why this I'm hoping to do many of these conversations to just spread it out there.
yep, put it
Um,
into the air.
67. I liked 67 too as well.
67. This is fun. I don't know which on what page. Each flower its bee. Aren't we all under each layer of this and that, searching for authentic voice? the undictated one, the one generating organically from truth, our truth, unique to us, born of our particular circumstances, our road, our path, our steps, our stumbles, recoveries, discoveries, creations, destructions, where and how we blend with the natural world, see the stars, hear the birds, smell the earth, value each step as a resting ground, love each flower and its bee as sweet treasure that feeds us.
Mm, I really like that
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes it boils right down to just each step,
for sure.
loving each flower in front of you. Yep.
Well, that so to me, when I was younger, I thought poets were special people, which they are. I'm finding out that's true. Um, but I'm gonna be one. um, because you see the flowers, because you see these things, and some people don't even see them. People don't even see them. Um, but I think, well, also what we focus on is what we fill our life with. So if you want this life to be a little bit softer, we need to focus on some softer things like the flowers and the beauty,
I
the
do feel
beauty.
like, I mean, I feel like poets, and I could expand that to other types of artists or creative people. I do feel like most, if not all, have gone through some experience that has taken them out of the sort of busy day to day with blinders on and shaken them or turned them for a different perspective. And then, you say you notice. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think I was like that, at age 12 or something, or maybe I was a little bit, but the way my
Mhm.
my life went kind of brought that really um, made that part of my life in a very specific way. You know, I was taken out of the norm and had to find my way in a certain particular ways. I was, felt very isolated and alienated for reasons and things like that. So
Right,
it does make you see the world differently or more, maybe more sharply or something. But I think for most people, it takes something jarring you out of um, just the sort of day to day, what we call normality or normal course of life. And then, so
right.
what do you do with that? I guess is the question. Like, what do you do with it?
Yeah,
It can be
yeah. What do you
destructive
do with
or it
that?
can be the opposite.
What do you do with that? And that's why I do think that a writing practice is a lovely thing to have incorporated in your life. So when things come along, I just think you ride out the storm a little smoother if you have a writing practice. I, I'm finding that, and I'm learning a lot of things that I had no idea even were a thing in me that are coming up. Like I mean, nothing specific, but when you do some writing, it and you go past the part where it's not working because you got to get past like some kind of conversation with yourself about taking the time to write when you got stuff to do. That's, to me, a big part of it for a lot of people. Do you have a regular practice? What does your practice
I
look
don't have
like?
like a disciplined practice where I have a spot and a time of day and I make myself go and write no matter what. I'm not that type of person, but I do, as I said, I have this writing group. So we meet regularly and that kind of holds me accountable. I want to have something to share. So I want to be like, writing so that I have something because it's beautiful. I don't know how we do it, but we all show up with, a couple poems that a couple times a month. So there's that. And also I try to plug in and do things like this and, listen to people reading and writing, and I like to try to read poetry. But as far as my own writing, yeah, I think it's something, something has to bring me to the page. Like I'll get a phrase in my head as I'm walking, or a song sentimentality will make me go somewhere in my memory, or I have particular sadness that's bubbling up, or I have a particular joy, or something brings me there. And then one really great thing that happened to me was I it wasn't specifically poetry, but I belonged to a women's circle that where the leader of that, if you facilitator, whatever you want to call it, would give a prompt, and it was free writing basically. So it would be timed, it would be a prompt, and the only thing you had to do is not take your pen off the page,
Right,
and not
right,
self edit. You just like keep going, whatever it is, just blat it out onto
right.
the paper until the ding of the timer, and then share it. And so those both those things, just sort of writing in that way of not really caring what you produce. Like it doesn't, the pressure's off. You don't have to make
Yeah,
a
I love
paper,
it
make
myself.
anything.
That's where I'm at.
Yep. And then the sharing part, like that was hard for me at first, but I stuck with it long enough that it became more comfortable. And you really do learn a lot, about what comes out there, in
And
between
it's
all this.
interesting to me, a lot of times, like whatever, there's usually a prompt, and the variety of stuff that comes from the
Right.
same prompt is like, wow, I can't believe it's so wildly different
Yeah.
points of view on things, and just yeah, that I've yet to quite produce a poem yet. But and I'm really doing my best to try to keep myself, um, although I want to be good. I can't keep it down. I was trying to say, like, just enjoy the process here. You don't have to be good at anything. It's okay. No, my other part of me is saying, we want to produce something good. Let's get something
Yeah,
going.
well, I mean, that's the other part, that you have to be kind of like enjoy the nerdy, crafty part. There is a craft to it, so you have to enjoy like tinkering and editing, and that that's all after you've written, without editing or self-criticizing or what have you. Then, yeah, then you kind of, if you want it to be good, or be able to, you want to share it. Then you have to,
Yeah, I think
then you have
the
to like,
first thing, yeah, the first thing I think I need to do is just go back into one of the things I wrote as free writing and just try to form it into something. That's
right.
where to start, So I just, for some reason, I'm thinking it's going to come download into this perfect thing to put right onto paper.
No, no. Yeah, people say like sort of go through and pick out the hot words. Just circle the words you like that you used, and then just make something completely new from that. There's so many tricks to the trade. I mean, people say like read up from the bottom, and like
Yeah,
switch
right.
it around and all sorts of stuff.
For me, it comes down to giving myself some time. I just need to put it in my schedule,
Yeah.
that time to sit, because uh, I know I'm not the only one that thinks the to-do list is important, more important than sitting down with your thoughts, which is so ass backwards.
But we all want to be somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, because like I can be like, oh yeah, I don't mind spending time writing, but will I clean the house, which desperately needs it? No. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the balance. That's the
right.
balance right there. That's the balance. Cool. Do you have any cats or dogs or pets or
Currently not. We have had through the years. We had a cat for a very long time. The kids had we had guinea pigs, which was interesting. But no, we don't have. I don't have a. We're petless right now. Why do you ask? Do you?
uh just because, yeah, I've got two miniature poodles. They're both rescues. This is our third. We had another one, but uh my lamb chop, that was my sweet baby lamb chop. He passed away in December 2022. And then
Um,
just last year, this other one, Lucky, came into our world. Showed up on my 60th birthday.
nice.
Yeah, so that's Poetry Poodle. Although he's not here with me right now, here's his dog bed. He usually is right here.
Yeah, that can bring on a ton of prompts, just wondering what they're thinking about, what their perspective is, like, just what their world is like and how they're sharing it with you.
Mm, I'll tell you, they're spoiled.
And
Yeah, they got me wrapped around their finger. Um, what so if I just kind of want to ask about your thoughts on why somebody might want to incorporate a writing practice or just jotting stuff down from time to time, not calling it a practice because we all got too much to do. But what's the value and benefit of having a writer practice?
well, because if you are of the mind that, writing is of value to you and is a way of getting to know yourself and the world, if you have a practice of just keeping a journal of words you like or phrases you like, or keeping a Xerox stack of poems that you've read that speak to you, then when you find the time or make it or feel the urge or something's pulling you to the page, you have this in your pocket, so to speak. So, if you're no one's going to sit down and write a poem a day. Well, some people do, especially there's a whole like month of it. I forget when that happens, but if you keep it kind of over here during your day and use something like, a smell of something, I'll be like, okay, gosh, how could I describe that? And maybe that will come into a poem sometime. And like, why? Like, does it take me to a certain memory? You know, just and why should we do that? Because it's a way of really being in the world rather than just sort of skipping through or letting other people's wars, etc., influence what your experience of the world is. Like, we only get this life. So how do you want to be in it? Do you want to appreciate where you are? Or be able to find that. Sometimes people have to really try hard to find a way to be happy. And observation and writing it down. So writing it down is just a way of speaking to yourself and then, bouncing it off if you don't have someone around 24/7, which most of us don't, it's a way of having conversation of your existence. And I think just
Yeah.
as human beings, I think it's just the way our brains like are. We take in so much, and um, yeah, and there's so many
Oh,
things that can influence you. Like I just like do not want to watch bad TV, especially at night. My husband isn't there yet, so, like, he's always watching something, and the soundtrack is just horrifying to me. I just, like, don't even wanna get near it, but I make these decisions, like, everyone has to make decisions and parameters, like, I'm not gonna watch shows that are just gonna bring that into my brain, you know?
right. Turn my whack my nervous system out of line. All of this
Well, we
stuff.
have to learn it, like, that's why I read that poem about the eating of the crackers, because like,
Yeah.
you don't magically have the right ways to help yourself. You have to get there, so had to journey through that and know that that was not helping, but like, how could I turn to something else? What could I do? And like, finally, when I did,
Yeah.
and now that's something I've written about because I mean, 'cause you don't totally let it go. It's part of you, right? So this is a way of sort of acknowledging that, like, okay, I was there and that happened, and it's all part of who I am now.
You mentioned that um it's not like somebody's around 24/7 to listen to. I don't I what I write on a page and what I share in the groups, I would not share with anybody that I know. That the intimacy and the trust and the beauty in these little groups are wonderful because you feel safe and secure to share some things that are way deep in there that you wouldn't share with anybody else.
Yeah. It's a really weird thing having a book out, especially your first one, because you realize, "Whoa, what did I just do?" Like, you did put it out into the world. You
Right,
know?
right, right.
It's a
Yeah.
different step than, but I think, it's
Yeah, I
also
don't understand that step yet. I might with poetry though in a way because you can kind of dance around things, flirt. with things, and with your words,
Yeah.
to where like a memoir or something else would be a little too close for
That's true.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I really like about these groups. I think a lot of it is too is um when you're sharing in these groups, sorry, moving my leg. When you're sharing in these groups, they're not listening to there's no drama really. It's not like because you say something to express it, to have the energy change or something. When that comes out of your head and lands on the pen, you're different by the time that writing is done. Something has changed in you. And it, to me, it's if I share it in these open spaces, they're not looked at from the woe is me point of view. It's more of it's different. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just witnessing
Hmm.
and not like, oh, this happened to you. And then they take what happened to you as the point, and it's like, no, 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 no. The point's underneath that. This doesn't matter what it is. This is everybody's got that. This is what we're talking about. But for most part, whenever in normal conversation, people get hung up in this.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah, does that make sense what I'm saying there?
I think so. I'm just someone who's not good at sort of surface level chit chat. Like I could never just, be in a group of people and just chit chat chat. It just like, but I don't mind getting into a real authentic deep conversation with someone, you know what I mean? And so I think that the writing is about being able to approach the deep stuff, it's not, so you're
Yeah,
not.
that's what I was trying to say in a roundabout way. Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right. It's deeper. It's deeper.
Just hearing how someone else says it, like someone else says, like the way you were describing something, and I can relate to it, and then I can sort of chew it and sort of say, "Oh, this is how I say it," and that's somehow very helpful, to us as human beings to be connected. It's not you can't get that from you know things that aren't other humans.
Right. What made you decide to put your first collection out? I mean, because like you said, that's powerful and you know, you're a little bit shy.
I It was kind of a long journey to the first book. Actually, I had 2 chapbooks come out first, so how should I? Yeah, I got encouragement because I started, once you've been writing for a while and you just got this kind of these got just a backlog of poems, it's sort of like, is this totally gonna be just sitting in my house forever, or should I share it? So something got me to just start sending things out, and it's really weird how the universe works because, like, it just pretty quickly, not quickly, but just amazingly to me, I got into some anthologies that just was so proud of
Oh,
being.
that's right. You were in James's anthology, right?
Yeah,
James Cruz?
yes,
Yeah, I think that's how I first heard of you.
yeah,
Possibly. It's hard. Everything kind of overlaps. Yeah. I think
yeah.
that was
That
it.
was so amazing to me too to have that go on. And then he came to a town nearby to the library to do a reading with 2 other people, and at that point he was promoting this book. And because I was in the audience, he read it out, and so I got to hear James read my poem, and it's so
Nice.
amazing. He's the sweetest thing ever, as I'm sure you know.
Oh my goodness, he is. And I was blessed to have a very fortunate to James Cruz and his husband Brad Peacock came on the show to have a conversation about their newest book, Love is for All of Us. And I'll
And that's
tell
an
you,
anthology.
that was a very powerful conversation.
Mm.
And, you know, that taught me a lot too. That taught me a lot too. Each of these conversations teach us teach us a lot if we listen and just open up.
Yeah, I think he's so good about sharing. He's like, I call him the, a poetry ambassador or something, because he's done so many of these anthologies, and he's so generous about um, including people in the world, his world of poetry, and just broadening it out there. And it's
Yeah,
great.
he's a very, very nice man, and his husband is a dream too. Uh, incredibly, incredibly great guys. I can't say enough about them. It really impacted me having that conversation with them.
That's
It
wonderful.
was very powerful and taught me a lot about myself. Like coming out, I can't. I'm like I don't even come out and say all the stuff that I've got about me still behind these doors. The uh what that must take, the courage to come out, and it must be pretty powerful. I mean, I learned a lot in that conversation about myself, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I in the notes in this book, I mentioned him because there's a poem that was definitely prompted from something that he put in his his monthly or weekly newsletter, what have you. He'll put a prompt at the sometimes, and
Oh, and he used one of yours.
no, I was prompted. I used his prompt, and the book, and the poem is in the book, so I made it a note of it in here. Where is it?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Uh, Why can't I find it? All right, let's change. Yes, if what if we make it real? I say mentions a James Cruise poem, "Hello, Little Sun," sent in his newsletter, The Weekly Pause. He often sends inspiration, pairing a poem with thoughts and prompts. So, what if we make it real? Was the poem? And
Go ahead and read it.
I gotta find it now. In this, did it? What if we make it real? 37.
Mm.
Hello, little sun. The message and poem come across my screen in an email. JC often shares words and thoughts I can feel. Like sitting down with a cup of hot tea, they seep in, sipped, absorbed gradually. Warmth calmly radiates out, pulling all the parts of me together, connected at heart. Thank you for the glow, friend, for inspiration to write what I know. What is more important, more human than sharing in this way? What if we all felt empowered, motivated, invited, given permission to explore our lives with each other? Not airbrushed photos, but honest thoughts, hopes, fears, delight. Would we then still be endlessly at war? Why must we need reminders to see one another as human, as sharing a planet together, as not different in our fundamental needs and hopes? What will you share with me? I am sharing this with you.
I like your poetry a lot. I do. It takes you on a trip, a little trip there. Um, yeah. What do you want to say to anybody that might hear this conversation? Anything, I don't want to say about life, but you know, realness, what comes to mind?
Yeah, just hello out there, and I hope you find your ways of living in a healthy way for you, which will make the world more healthy and the planet. We are all one thing, and we all mature into our lives if we're gifted a longer life, and just being aware and holding generosity and the motivation for sharing love, and all the good stuff, because there's so much out there on the other end of the scale, the bad stuff happening around us that we feel helpless about and don't want to contribute to. So in order not to feel powerless and to be in your life in a healthy way, you can do it. You can do it and you will find your way. And it just does tend to happen if you have that need and want and are open. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I need to create time slot. That's what I need to add for that for me. Um, yeah, so again, this is probably the start of the Summer of Love poetry series. So I appreciate you being like the first. I mean, we had a conversation with Gloria Heffernan, but that was kind of wrapped around the workshop we did. And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Kim, who is a beginner poet, and you. So we're not quite polished yet, but honestly, we're not looking to get polished here.
Wonderful. I really, really appreciate you asking me aboard, and I'm happy to be part of what you're doing. It's really great.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I think the more of us that can spread love, the better off we'll be. Marjorie, thank you so much.
Thank
Really,
you,
truly,
Jen.
thank you so much. And yeah, maybe come back for more sometime in some shape or form, or even another conversation like this down the road would be great and always welcome.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
And true gratitude. Namaste.
Namaste.